Hari Om. Let us continue studying this important shloka number 23 of chapter 2 in Shrimad Bhagawad Geetha. So the shloka very clearly says, weapons do not slay this self, the Atma, nor does fire burn it. Water does not wet or drown the Atma, nor does wind dry it, nor can wind dry it. Let's hear from Poojya Swamiji what is communicated, what Lord Krishna is trying to communicate through this important shloka. In verse 16 and again in verse number 20, Krishna said that for the self, which is Sat, real, there is no absence. There is no absence. It is not subject to negation in any of the three periods of time. In Sanskrit, abadhitam, abadhitam, abadhitam satyam. This statement cannot be shaken because that which is not subject to negation cannot be negated, and truth, satya, is not subject to negation. This statement cannot be negated, and truth, satya, is not subject to negation. You yourself are this truth. You, the listener, are this truth. That is the teaching. If you have any doubt, try to negate yourself. The very person doing the negation, listen carefully, the very person doing the negation is the one you are trying to negate. Therefore, you find that it is impossible to negate yourself. Anything that is negatable, anything that is negatable is not satya. The one who goes on negating, the negator, is satya. The listener, you, are satya. The one who goes on negating is satya. The only one who cannot be negated. I cannot negate myself. You cannot negate yourself. Whereas everything else other than the negator, the one who negates, is subject to dismissal. Everything else other than the negator is subject to dismissal. That which is not subject to negation can only be Atma, the self. Thus, there is no abhava. There is no abhava, absence for the Atma. These are very important portions that form the basis of this teaching. They will be repeatedly presented during various stages of this teaching, but this is the crux of the teaching. The negator can never be negated. It's the only entity that is never dismissed. This must be born in mind, must be firmly registered in the mind. Because after negating the entire, let's say, Drishya Prapancha, let us say we reach a state of emptiness intellectually, okay, not physically, intellectually. Then there is a tendency to say that there is nothing. There is nothing more to be negated. The Shastras say, the Gurus say, we shouldn't stop here. We can't say there is nothing left. We must learn to say there is nothing other than the negator that is left. It is only the negator that is left behind after negating the entire creation intellectually. Only the negator is left behind, is what we must learn to recognize. Everything else is dismissible except the negator. So this is going to be the thrust. We must keep this in mind. We must make a note of this point and register it clearly in our intellect. Only that which is subject to time can be asat. Only that which is subject to time can be asat. That which is not subject to time is sat. We must recall the definition of sat that we saw in Tattva Bodha. Trikale api tishtati iti sat. Trikale api tishtati iti sat. Sat cannot be dismissed because dismissal implies prior existence and posterior non-existence. Sat cannot be dismissed because dismissal implies prior existence and posterior non-existence, both of which are in terms of time alone, past, present, and future. That which is not subject to time, that which is not subject to time and for which time itself is a dismissible object, is called Satya Atma. This is Krishna's constant refrain. What is Krishna's constant refrain? That which is not subject to time and for which time itself is a dismissible object is called Satya Atma. Just as one gives up old clothes and takes on new ones, like we saw in the Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya verse, the one who dwells in this body, Deha, the body is called Deha, the one who dwells in this body gives it up and assumes another body. So just as one gives up old clothes and takes on new ones, the one who dwells in this body, the Deha, gives it up and assumes another body. The Dehi assumes another body. Neither the Jiva nor Atma is subject to negation. Neither the Jiva nor the Atma is subject to negation. The Jiva and Atma being one and the same. Jiva and the Atma are one and the same. What can be negated, however, is the notion that I am limited. The jivatva, the notion that I am limited, the jivatvam, can be negated. The swarupa of the jiva cannot be negated. Only the notion that I am a jiva can be negated. The swarupa of the jiva cannot be negated. Only the notion, the fixation that I am a jiva can be negated. This is another important feature of our teaching. The same point was also made by Krishna in another form when he said that Atma is not an object for any act of destruction. Na ayam hanti na hanyate. Nayam hanti na hanyate, which he stated in shloka number 19 that we have looked at earlier. It is neither the performer of an action nor the object of anyone's action. It is neither a performer of an action nor an object of anyone else's action. In other words, Atma is not subject to negation because it is not subject to destruction. No action can destroy it. No action can destroy it. In the present verse, Krishna mentioned a few methods of destruction, none of which affects Atma. At first, he talks of weapons, which cannot destroy Atma. Later, he enumerates the elements that can bring about destruction. Generally, weapons are of two types. Those weapons that are released from one's hand are called astras, like a rock, a bullet, or an arrow. Those held in the hand are called shastras, like a stick, hammer, or sword. Here in this verse, the word shastra implies both types of weapons. Astras are those weapons that are released from one's hand, like a rock, a bullet, or an arrow. And those weapons that are held in one's hand are called shastras, like a stick, hammer, or sword. Here, the word shastrani represents both astras and shastras. With reference to weapons, then Atma does not subject itself to any type of objectification. It is so because Atma objectifies everything. That which objectifies everything cannot be objectified by anything. This is another important law. That which objectifies everything cannot be objectified by anything. Atma, yourself, we must always listen to the teaching in this mode. Atma, which is myself, objectifies the whole world. The world does not reveal itself to you unless you objectify it. Which means an important corollary can be derived from this statement. What is that statement? The world does not reveal itself to you unless you objectify it. It implies that the world, which is jadam, requires a non-jadam entity, a conscious entity to objectify it. World is inert. It doesn't have consciousness as its intrinsic nature. This is another valuable teaching that comes through over here. Inert matter has to be proved, as it were, by a conscious being. It is a one-way flow. It is only a conscious being that can objectify, that can prove, that can give existence to an inert object. An inert object cannot prove the existence of a conscious being. Very important point that comes through over here. So, the world does not reveal itself, cannot reveal itself unless you or I objectify it. I, a conscious entity, needs to objectify the world, needs to prove that the world exists. The world depends on me for its existence. And Atma cannot be objectified by anything. Very interesting discussion going on. Let us pick up the thread of this discussion and take it forward in the upcoming capsules and enrich our understanding of Krishna's teaching. Hari Om. Om Durjana Sajjano Bhuyad Sajjana Shantimapnuyad Shanto Muccheta Bandhebhyah Muktaschanyan Vimochayet Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.